I love the way you're talking right now because one, knowing about you and like kind of like studying you, you're a bit of an athlete. Like not just a bit. Like being an athlete was a huge part of your life,
Yeah.
and the way you speak and the way you talk about your craft is very much like how athletes talk about how they want to improve. And I remember being on that set with Tom Cruise and just hearing him talk. I could tell it rubbed off on you because the way he spoke. The one thing I kept thinking in my mind was like, this must have been what it was like to listen to Kobe Bryant talk about basketball.
Yeah.
Like that attention to detail, that rigorous work ethic. Like, you know, like how do I build upon what came before, learning from Michael Jordan and things that sort. So if I had to make a comparison, I would say like Tom Cruise would be like Michael Jordan in the sense that you will be the Kobe, and then you know, not a bad place
Tom
to be.
is basically a little about Mamba mentality.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And like I can feel that coming off of you. So like, you know, I get really giddy like hearing you talk about just taking in information, especially after the episode that we just did with Joel, since it was all about like inspiration and how do you like take inspiration and build off of that. I want to know, like, you as like an actor, you as Danny Ramirez, having that athlete mentality, what was something that you feel in your career has been helped by your athlete mentality?
I think rejection, because athletes lose a lot more.
Right.
I mean, granted, some
win a lot.
Some win a lot. Some win a lot.
Bill Russell wins a lot.
But the idea of like going to practice and like even Bill Russell, I'm sure somebody pinned him on the glass.
Yeah,
right? Like he must have got
Will
blocked.
Chamberlain. Will Chamberlain had his
Will
number.
Chamberlain, yeah.
He had his number.
So
for sure.
it's like you. There's a lot more, and maybe that's actually comparable to doing a scene with an actor and jostling back and forth, but not really, because there's a feeling you get when you miss a shot as an athlete, or you get blocked, or you lose the game, whether it's little league or high school or in college. That I think that's the takeaway from losing is your coach or your parent or whoever's like, all right, cool, like now regroup and like get back after it. Whereas I think had I never experienced that, rejection in the initial stages of acting might have felt like I personally was getting rejected.
Right.
And I think that it was a growth of that, because it is you for the most part. You're the character you are and inhabiting at that moment. You are borrowing from yourself, and you're the vessel that is not right for this part.
Right.
But I think I would have taken that a little bit harder instead of realizing like, oh, okay, cool. Like we regroup. Maybe this is a losing season. Like my first year auditioning, I remember I had just signed an agent, and I did it kind of like in a sporty way, which was I was at NYU. The audition that I did to get into NYU was the monologue was the first monologue I ever memorized.
Okay.
And I used that to pay like $20 to like do a monologue for an agent. And NYU doesn't want you to audition while you're at school.
Okay.
And in my head, I'm like,
I heard about that.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna do this, like, cause I gotta pay for what I just
right. Like I'm paying you guys.
Yeah,
like,
you guys got student loans. Like I gotta figure out. And so I thought, I'm like, all right, cool. I'll pay $20. It's like playing a game of pickup. I get to throw down once. I get to work on my game. I ended up signing with that person, and for a year, they only sent me for the most part on like network auditions,
Right,
and
okay.
I don't know how to do that really.
Okay. What is a network audition? Like how does that
It
work?
like Blue Bloods or NCIS.
Got it.
And stuff that like I would have taken in a heartbeat at that moment. That I had a year where I didn't get a single call back. And I was like, all right, cool. Like my junior year in high school football, I went 0-10.
You know what that feels like.
And I was like, I know what that feels like. And that off season, I grinded. And then the next year, we started off 5-0. And then we lost 5 games in a row. So we ended up 5-5. But I was like, but I felt the cultural shift, the mentality shift, and I realized the difference of 0-10 and 5-0, and the time of growth in that. And so after that year, I then started getting callbacks, but the only callbacks I'd get were like, I'd basically booked a role, and I don't think I've ever said this, in Lady Bird.
Yeah.
And then they did a local hire, and so they couldn't fly me from New York to Sacramento.
Oh, damn.
So, but I was like, but I tasted it. And then the same week, I was the voice of the Walking Dead video game. I think The Walking Dead 3.
Okay.
I did 12 sessions, and so I felt the victory. And then they rewrote him to be like 30-something years old. And so they needed a more mature voice. But I felt the victory, and I tasted it. And then there was Monster that Kelvin Harrison ended up doing. Before he did it, it was Kenny Leon. And when Kenny Leon, Anthony Mandler directed the one that came out. But Kenny Leon was directing it at some point, and he cast me in it. He left to go do a different project. Whole cast gets reset. All this happened within 2-3 weeks. But I'm like, but I tasted it.
Yeah.
And so from going the 1 year of not getting callbacks to then, I don't think I missed a callback for the next 3 years. For the most part, everything was like, I'm like, I get it. I understood it. The game slowed down.
Yeah.
I understood more so for me, I needed the lessons of being okay to fail and then being able to inhabit a character within like it was almost a blessing that I didn't get any of those, because I would have gotten into that world unprepared, not as grounded. I would have lost who I have turned now into a performer and kind of what I like to do. Like, for instance, Joaquin Torres feels a little bit big for what I usually like to do.
Right.
But I would have only been able to get there and believable in that space had I taken these 10 years. But I think that's what the athlete mentality kind of helped in, is in knowing that a loss isn't forever. And it's also not personal. It's somebody else handling their business. Granted, sometimes it's another team.
Right.
I'm kidding. It is personal. I would take every single one of those shits personally. let me actually let me not muddle the message. Listen. But also, I took every single one of those personally. And whenever I didn't get a call back, I was like, all right, bet. I'd write it down. I'd do when Arya Stark started doing that list.
Yeah.
Later on in my life, I was like, okay, who's in my list again? That's right. It was people, it was companies, it was entire networks, everything.
Oh my gosh.
In order to be able to one day be like,
I mean, you got to take it personal sometimes. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're not taking it personal, are you really taking it serious?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like you just did a Jordan quote. I took that personally. You know?
I realized the moment I said it wasn't personal, I'm like,
no,
it might not be, but I took it.
Let's keep it a keep it a stack. And I think it matters how you take it personal. Like, you're a humble dude. You're a nice dude. You're not out here blaming the world for the losses that you took. You're saying, all right, I took that loss. Let me internalize that. Let me go out there and let me build off of that.
I did want to put responsibility on myself too, though.
Yeah.
Which is, not to cut you off really quickly, but the
ahead.
reason why Baton came to be was because I'm like, all right, the roles that I want and I know I could do, I could throw down with every single one of the flavor of the month kids that have come out for the past 5 years. It happens, right?
Right.
Someone does a really great indie, the keys are handed to them. Different for if you're Latino or Black.
Yeah.
It's just been the
you see it all the
reality
time.
of it. Yeah. It's
what happened to Lucas Hedges? I would love to see him in more stuff.
Yeah.
You know? I think about that all
it's
the time.
for instance, Kelvin's done it. He's done 19 laps of being a phenomenal leading man, and the keys to the kingdom are a little bit restricted. But it's gonna happen. He's a fucking
we're waiting,
a beast, man. But so Baton came to be because I was like, the roles that I want to do, they're not coming across. I'm not getting the. It's not necessarily just that everything was a stereotype, but just it didn't have the substance. It wasn't either the lead with the filmmaker that I'd want to work with. It wasn't this type of role. By the time it got to me, it would have already been given to somebody else. And I realized I'm like, the type of quality work I want to do isn't going to be dropped on my doorstep. And so I could be as mad as I want, but I could also get after it and understand that there is a pocket that needs to be filled.
Yeah.
And so that's where I'm like, let me take that responsibility now that I'm aware.
Yeah. Thank you so much for watching this clip of Get Wrecked with Straw Hat Goofy. If you guys want to see some more movie talk, other clips, or even watch the full episode, make sure you hit the links in the bottom and also hit the playlist. Like, subscribe, and we'll talk about the next film.